The story of Tutankhamun, the boy king of Egypt, has captivated the world since his intact tomb was discovered in 1922. Although the discovery of Tutankhamun's tomb by British archaeologist Howard Carter is still considered one of the most remarkable discoveries of the 20th century, the treasures found within continue to open new and fascinating chapters in his story even long afterward. Now attention is focused not on the dazzling gold objects and jewels, but on curiously modest artifacts that could represent the oldest and most significant evidence of a royal funerary ritual known as the Awakening of Osiris, suggesting that the young pharaoh's burial was unlike that of any other monarch. Like, subscribe, and share. Let's begin. Tutankhamun, or King Tut, is a tragic and enigmatic historical figure. He ascended the throne at the tender age of 9 and ruled until his untimely death between the ages of 18 and 19, marking the end of his royal family's 18th dynasty. Despite his short reign, the fact that his tomb in Egypt's Valley of the Kings remained almost intact made him a posthumous celebrity. The vast majority of historical attention has focused on the dazzling treasures Howard Carter found when he opened the tomb: the celebrated gold mask, the inlaid jewels, and the protective statues. However, amidst all this opulence were objects that, due to their crudely crafted nature and simple material, were initially overlooked. Egyptologist Nicholas Brown of Yale University has now brought these artifacts, wooden walking sticks and several clay trays found near the sarcophagus, into focus. Brown suggests that these modest objects are not only important, but are possible evidence of an Osirian funerary rite that may have been pioneered by Tutankhamun himself. The material simplicity of these objects, which are not made of gold, contrasts with their immense theological significance, indicating a burial with a hidden and profound ritual component that challenges the established historical narrative. The name of the ceremony, the Awakening of Osiris, immediately indicates its profound connection to the Egyptian god Osiris, the central deity of the underworld and a symbol of the cycle of death and resurrection. Egyptian theology firmly believed that the pharaoh, upon dying, merged with Osiris to ensure his passage and immortality in the spiritual realm. According to expert Nicholas Brown's interpretation, the clay trays and staffs were key components of this Osirian funerary rite. The fundamental purpose of this ceremony was to reanimate the mummified body of the monarch in the afterlife. By facilitating the deceased ruler's transformation into Osiris himself, the ritual sought to ensure his immortality and dominion in the world of the dead. If Tutankhamun truly pioneered this rite, as Brown suggests, it underscores a theological innovation or an early adoption of religious practices aimed at ensuring a particularly powerful transition for the young pharaoh. The artifacts in question were found in the tomb and had long been overlooked, thought to be mere supports for other more valuable artifacts. However, their arrangement and material nature reveal a ritual purpose. The objects found are 1. 4 wooden staffs. These staffs, which measured approximately 1 meter in height, are known as pejaha emblems. Brown emphasizes that these objects bear a striking resemblance to the hieroglyph res, a symbol often associated with the concept of awakening or vigilance. The 4 staffs were located in a corner of the tomb, near the sarcophagus. Brown's analysis, published in the Journal of Egyptian Archaeology, suggests that these staffs, placed near the pharaoh's head, may have played a crucial role in the pharaoh's symbolic awakening, perhaps as focal points for resurrection or as symbols of revitalized power. Furthermore, Brown has hypothesized that these golden staffs may be linked to an ancient Egyptian text titled Books of the Underworld and the Sky, texts that describe the deceased's journeys through the night world and their regeneration. 2. Clay trays. Several rough clay trays were found on top of reed mats, placed approximately 1.5 meters from the head of the coffin. These trays, made from Nile mud, would have been used for ritual libations. Libations, often performed with water from the Nile River itself, were an essential act of purification and offering in Egyptian funerary rites, uniting the deceased with the source of life and regeneration that was the Nile. The simplicity of the material, Nile mud, indicates that the value lay not in the material itself, but in the ritual act they represented. Although Brown's interpretation of the Awakening of Osiris is compelling, he himself acknowledges an alternative hypothesis, put forward by Egyptologist Jacobus van Dyck, that could also explain the presence of the 4 objects. This second theory centers on the spell of the 4 torches, a rite described in the legendary Book of the Dead. According to this theory, guardians and guide, 4 guardians, each carrying a torch, surrounded the sarcophagus. The light from the torches served to guide the pharaoh through the many dangerous obstacles of the afterlife, ensuring his safe journey to reach Osiris in the mythical Hall of Judgment. Symbolism of the extinguishing. Once the guidance was complete, the torches were ritually extinguished. This extinguishing took place in clay trays filled with white cow's milk. White cow's milk is a direct symbol of the goddess Hathor, a maternal and celestial deity who also played a key role in the reception of the deceased and in regeneration. Material concordance. Under this hypothesis, the 4 wooden staffs could represent the 4 guardians or the 4 torches that illuminated the path. The clay trays would have been used as sacred vessels for the symbolic extinguishing of the fire with milk, marking the end of the journey and the pharaoh's entry into the realm of immortality. The fact that Tutankhamun's burial may have been instrumental in the development or popularization of such a significant rite as the Awakening of Osiris, or the spell of the four torches, underlines the idea that his passage to the afterlife was treated in an exceptionally careful and perhaps innovative manner. Like, subscribe, and share. Although Tutankhamun was not one of Egypt's great builders or warriors, his tomb has provided an invaluable window not only into the material wealth of the era, but also into the theological and ritual complexity of kingship at the end of the 18th dynasty. The discovery of these objects, once considered insignificant, demonstrates that Tutankhamun's best-kept secrets are not always found in gold, but rather in the more subtle evidence of faith and ritual practices. The study of these 4 walking sticks and clay trays confirms that, 100 years after its initial discovery, King Tut's tomb remains an inexhaustible source of knowledge about ancient Egypt and, in particular, about the rites that ensured the pharaoh's journey to eternal life with Osiris. Modern archaeology, by applying a fresh perspective to the 1922 finds, continues to unearth the mysteries that time and sand could not erase. Archaeology, as a discipline, is a constant dialogue between the past and the present. This conversation becomes particularly fascinating when modern archaeology applies its sophisticated tools and a fresh perspective to discoveries that, while historical, have not yet exhausted their informational potential. The year 1922 serves as a monumental turning point, a milestone whose shadow casts a continuing influence on contemporary research. The immediate reference to this year is inevitably the discovery of Tutankhamun's tomb in the Valley of the Kings, an event that not only captured the world's imagination but also, unintentionally, established the paradigm of what a major discovery could offer. The initial impact of Howard Carter and Lord Carnarvon's discovery was the sheer scale of the artifacts, thousands of gold objects, jewelry, and ceremonial furnishings that offered tangible evidence of the opulence and funerary practices of the 18th dynasty. However, the legacy of 1922 transcends the mere accumulation of treasure. What modern archaeology is now demonstrating is that, even in the best documented contexts of that time, haste, technological limitations, and the nascent methodologies of the early 20th century left immense gaps in the record. It is precisely in these gaps that current research is flourishing. The original text underscores how modern archaeology continues to unearth mysteries. This no longer necessarily involves removing sand and stone. Today, unearthing means applying a battery of scientific analyses that were unimaginable to Carter. The use of ground-penetrating radar, mass spectrometry, ancient DNA, aDNA analysis, computed tomography, CT scans, and 3D digital reconstruction allows researchers to extract information from finds that remained inaccessible for decades. Let's consider the case of Tutankhamun's tomb. The mummies of the royal family, excavated a century ago, have undergone DNA analysis that not only confirmed the complex genealogy of the boy king, identifying Akhenaten as his father and one of his sisters as his mother, but also revealed the presence of genetic diseases such as clubfoot and malaria, providing a much more human and vulnerable portrait of the young king. The artifacts, meanwhile, are analyzed using non-invasive techniques. The use of X-ray fluorescence, XRF, on Tutankhamun's iron dagger revealed that its metal was of meteoric origin, offering profound insight into the Egyptian knowledge of extraterrestrial materials and their connection to the celestial world. Another crucial aspect of the renewed perspective is the broadening of the historical and cultural context. The pioneers of 1922 tended to focus on the most spectacular objects, often neglecting or minimizing the context of discovery, stratigraphy, and organic or everyday materials. Today, archaeology focuses on the environmental, social, and economic context. For example, applying organic residue analysis techniques to storage vessels can reveal the diet, trade routes, and fermentation practices of the time. The study of textiles, previously underestimated, is now conducted using electron microscopy to determine weaving techniques and fiber sources, providing insights into industry and trade. The mysteries that time and sand could not erase are now subjected to forensic scrutiny. The sand did not erase the contents, it merely protected them until science was ready to interrogate them with the necessary subtlety. The findings from 1922 thus become a gigantic archive of encrypted data. Modern archaeology is not only filling the gaps left by Carter, but also correcting his interpretations and, in some cases, addressing mysteries he himself intuited but lacked the means to confirm, such as the search for a possible secret chamber adjacent to the tomb, a speculation now being investigated with high-resolution ground-penetrating radar. This process underscores a fundamental truth. A major archaeological find is never a closed event. It is a legacy that continues to evolve with each technological advance, ensuring that the history of humankind remains ever present and open to reinterpretation. Like, subscribe, and share. See you next time.